David Morrison is joining us now. He's senior analyst at Trade Nation. David, thank you for speaking with us. Just want to get a sense of your take. Now, the first cut of what we saw was a 50% tariff hike on Chinese semiconductors from America. Give us context. How big a deal is this? What will be the impact?
Well, it's a very big hike, and we've seen this big hike on semiconductors. That's been one of the main features. Also on EVs, another main feature of the tariff increases, and on a lot of things, a lot of other materials as well. But of course, semiconductors are such an incredibly important part of what's been going on with manufacturing processes. They're going into everything, and specifically, of course, most importantly, in what's ahead for us with generative AI. So I think this is that's quite a targeted tariff on a very specific area. It's something that the Chinese need. There's a lot of technological stuff that the US has got, which China hasn't yet, although it could soon have. But yes, I mean, I think semiconductors is quite an important element of this tariff package from Joe Biden.
What does it mean in terms of impact for China, for the US, and for emerging nations like India?
Well, it's a difficult one to judge. I mean, you could think about what President Biden is doing at the moment is a way of countering what would probably happen anyway should Donald Trump get in. So in some respects, it seems like he's playing to his home base and saying that, yes, I mean, if we look just at the EV market in particular, it's quite apparent that Chinese production is far more than can be absorbed by the domestic market on its own. And so it seems very likely that China is going to want to sell those EVs abroad. Now, the fact is that the US feels that China has, it's got the way it goes about building those EVs, the fact that it subsidizes them to such a great extent that is unfair competition. It's not a level playing field, and therefore tariffs are warranted. And you can see the argument, and certainly you have the likes of Elon Musk and other people in the US who are manufacturers of EVs sort of saying, look, this is going to destroy our domestic EV market. So we do need some kind of protection. But yes, it does have implications for elsewhere because the US has not just targeted the EV market, but it has looked to place tariffs on a lot of other things that it sends to China. Some of those are going to be significant, some of those will not be so. But it is a broad band of tariffs, and I think it sends a message in terms of intent from the present US administration to China and possibly to elsewhere in the world as well.
David, just one question. China won't sit lightly. We've seen now in the past that they are in a retaliatory mode as well. Does this have the potential, the nature of the hike and the products on which this announcement has come in, does it have the potential to have a larger tit-for-tat move and this ante moving up substantially on both sides?
I think it does. China are obviously very disappointed by what has happened about this move. They will take it quite badly. And there are obviously ways that they can respond to this. And I wouldn't be surprised if they come back with something quite quickly. Bear in mind, of course, there are plenty of things that China does produce, and I'm thinking right at the front of my head right now is sort of the rare earths, which are so vital for so many products that we now manufacture. And should they decide that they're not willing to export those, that would be a potential problem in the years ahead.
One last question, David. We're wondering if there is an India sort of impact in this. If this whole tariff war begins between China and the US, what does it mean for India?
I think it's something that India should obviously keep an eye on. I hope that it wouldn't be something that directly affects India now or in the future. But it does seem clear that the US is going to be protective of its own industries, particularly, I think, when we look at green industries. going forward in the future, the sort of like the high-tech elements that could make the greening of industry that much better. And I think so the US are going to be on their guard about the potential of being flooded by cheaper imports, things that can be produced at a much lower cost by India, China, than they can be done in the US itself. This is something I think it's not quite the same with Mexico, but of course, production costs are again much lower in Mexico than they are in the US.
Okay. David, we'll leave at that. Thanks so much for taking the time out and being with us and giving us your insights.
Thank you.